Big idea number 2, constructions. So the first one, you need to bisect the angle below. Now, here we go. To bisect an angle, the first step is to draw an arc that intersects both this bottom ray and that top ray. So all I have to do is draw an arc that intersects both of them. So I'm going to put the vertex B on my bullseye, and I'm going to bring it out. Okay, and I'm going to draw an arc that intersects both the bottom ray, ray BC, and the top ray, BA. Okay, I'm going to label my points of intersection, and leaving my compass at the exact same setting, I'm going to place the bullseye on this point of intersection and draw an arc right there. And I'm going to bring the bullseye to that point of intersection and the exact same thing. So notice my compass setting did not change at all throughout this entire process. I'm going to label the points of intersection of these two arcs. Okay. And my last step to bisecting an angle is to connect B, the vertex, to that point of intersection right there. Okay. Now, it said to label the angle bisector. Remember, the bisector is the part or the line or the ray that's doing the cutting. In this case, this ray right here is doing the cutting. So this right here, this ray, is my angle bisector. So I'm going to go ahead and call this point of intersection point D. And so I can say that the angle bisector is ray BD. Okay. Now it says label and write a statement about congruent parts. Remember, an angle bisector, what a bisector does is it cuts something in half. Alright? So what did we cut in half? We cut in half an angle. So this angle right here is congruent to this angle right there. Alright? So angle ABD is congruent to angle DBC. Okay. I also know from this picture that the larger angle, angle ABC, is is equal to the sum of the two smaller angles, which are angle ABD plus angle DBC. Okay. Next one. We want to construct a perpendicular bisector of ST. So here's ST. Let's go ahead and bisect it. Now, ST, notice, is a line segment, and so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this line segment in half. So here we go. Now, what you need to do is you need to measure the length of ST with your compass. So bullseye on S, and bring your pencil holder out until you see T inside of the pencil holder right there. Okay, I'm going to lock it in, and I'm going to draw a half circle going this way, and then I'm going to draw a half circle going the other way. Notice, I did not change the compass setting at all, because once you measure ST the first time, there's no need to change it. Okay, now notice they intersect up here, and they intersect down here. Now where those two intersect, what you're going to do is you're going to take your straight edge and you are going to connect them. Now what you're doing right now is, by connecting them, is you're drawing the angle bisector. I'm sorry, not the angle. You're drawing the perpendicular bisector. Okay? Now this line that I drew is the bisector. It is the part that is doing the cutting. Alright? This is a bisector, and it's cutting ST into two congruent parts. This side and the side over here. Alright, so it says to label the midpoint Y. Here's the midpoint, so I'm going to label it Y. It says to label the perpendicular bisector as line Z. Again, my pencil is the perpendicular bisector right there. This is my perpendicular bisector because it is cutting the segment in half. So I'm going to label it as line Z. It says label and write a statement about the congruent parts. Remember, we were cutting the line segment in half. So this small part right here is congruent to this part over here. And then I said write a statement about the congruent parts. So we know, because we bisected line segment ST, that SY is congruent ty. And I know that the larger line segment ST is equal to SY plus TY. Alright, number 6, perform the steps below. Construct the midpoint between A and A prime. Okay? The only construction we have that constructs a midpoint is a bisector. More specifically, a perpendicular bisector. And that's the one that I just drew on number 5. Alright? So if we need to construct a midpoint between A and A prime, we first need to connect them. Alright? Because when we construct a midpoint, we are finding the midpoint of a line segment. So let's make our line segments. Now when we make the midpoint, remember, or when we construct a perpendicular bisector, remember step 1 is to measure the two line segments, or the two points, the distance between the 2 points. Once you measure it, here's A prime. We're going to hold it down, and we are going to draw a half circle. Now, leaving the compass at that setting, we're going to bring it over to A prime and do the exact same thing. Okay. Now, where those two intersect, I'm going to connect them. Okay, and our midpoint is right here. Now I need to do the same thing. It says construct a midpoint between C and C prime. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did. I'm going to connect C to C prime. Okay. And I'm going to measure the distance between C to C prime. Alright. I'm going to draw half circle, bring it over to C, do the exact same thing, and assuming that I did it correctly and there were no human errors, this point of intersection is right there, that point of intersection is right here, and when I connect them, what I should actually be doing is just extending the line I already drew through A and A prime. Okay? So the midpoint is for C to C prime, or line segment C prime, is right there. Now I drew the line through the midpoint already, so done, done, done. Then it says label the perpendicular bisector as line Z. So this right here is the perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular, so I need to draw a 90-degree angle. Bisector, because it's cutting the line segments that we drew in half. So I'm going to call it line Z. Now it says label the congruent parts. Remember, when we find the midpoint, we cut the line segment into two congruent parts. So this is congruent to that, and this is congruent to that. Okay? Now and that's it for that one. All we have to do is label the congruent parts. Alright? Now notice, not only is this line Z the perpendicular bisector, but it's also the line of reflection. So the shape gets reflected from here over here. So it's a vertical reflection. Alright? Because our line is vertical. Now going to number 7. Number 7, what I want you to do is actually construct a perpendicular line that goes through through line A and through point L. Alright? So here we go. Now the first step in drawing a perpendicular line is to draw a circle using L as your center. Okay? So since L is my center, it's going to go on the bullseye. I'm going to bring this up, the slider up, and I'm going to put it, notice I put it far enough down below the line. Okay? And the purpose of doing this is I want the circle that I draw to intersect the line, but I don't want it to intersect it too closely to the line. Okay? Okay. And there's my little half circle. Well, the points of intersection are here and here. Alright, so I'm going to label them point C and point B. Now, after I draw this half circle, I'm going to go and I'm going to measure the distance between C and B using my compass. Okay, C is here, B is there. Holding it down at C, I'm going to draw another half circle. Okay, I'm going to bring this over to B, do the exact same thing. Points, arc of intersection here and here. And if I did this correctly, when I connect these lines, they should go through, when I connect these points, the line should go through point L. And it does. Okay, so I just drew a pair of perpendicular lines. Perpendicular mean 90-degree angle, so they intersect at a 90-degree angle.